Hello and welcome to the 67th episode of the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. My name is Mike Williams, this is Gareth Evans and Liam McKelvey. Hello. How are you doing, guys?
Good, thank you.
Right. This week, as always, we'll be answering our patrons' questions. We post these podcasts a few days early on our Patreon feed, so our Patreon supporters can comment with their questions, and then we go through them in the following podcast. If you want to ask a question for us, if you want us to discuss a topic that you want us to talk about, ask us questions about E3 or whatever, you can ask us whatever you want, kind of gaming related. You support us on Patreon for $1 a month. You get that early access to the podcast a few days early, and then you can take part in the podcast every week by sending in your questions for discussion. Questions such as Griggeth's question. Griggeth asks, "Hi guys, first time patron. Was wondering what your guys' favourite / best releases are this year. Love the content, keep it up." Thank you very much, Griggeth, for that. What are your favourite games so far this year, guys? I mean, I was racking my brain a little bit, to be honest. I was trying to scrape this list together, but guys, you've got...
I don't have a problem listing the games I like this year. You've got Far Cry 5, Kingdom Come Deliverance, State of Decay 2 was one of my favourites, although it's not received as the best. You got God of War, Detroit Become Human, and now Vampire. That's 6 games that I really enjoyed so far this year.
Yeah, it's been alright. I mean, it's what month is it? It's June, so we're almost kind of halfway through, I guess. Basically
3 or 4 of them came in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, so it's you've I think you've been your genres have been coming up as well, which is
single player RPGs, man.
Yeah, and there's been quite a broad cross section of stuff. What about you, Liam? You got any highlights this year so far?
God of War's been really good. I put far too much time into that.
Yeah,
a bit obsessive actually towards the end of God of War. I was determined to beat that Valkyrie.
Yeah,
Queen.
Sure.
What else? Thingy. It was on. I can't remember it now. What was it? Oh, it's a game. This isn't going well, is it?
It's a game, right? I put my detective hat on here.
Far Cry 5 was good, and.
Was it a JRPG?
It wasn't a JRPG. Dark Souls Remastered. That's what I was going to say. Well, even though technically it's an old game, but I've been loving that lately.
Yeah, it is a game though. You're right.
It is a game. Sorry, I'm not the best.
You just finished a long edit though, haven't you?
I have done a very long edit, so my mind is exhausted.
Hey, no one's perfect.
We'll wake you up with these questions.
God of War. That's probably my highlight. I think it was a very strong game indeed. I liked a lot of it. It did a lot of the things that I like. Right, I'm a sucker for just stopping and looking at stuff and just being, just dropped into a big universe kind of thing of the scale of God of War is great. It's exactly what I want. Just kind of all this mythology going on in the background, things to read and people to talk to. I love all that stuff. And it's a bloody good action game on top of all
it's
that.
Very
good.
Yeah,
so it's
possibly one of the best games ever made according to Metacritic.
According to Metacritic, yes, indeed. Although if I had to pick a game that I had just the most pure joy with this year, I've got to say Vermintide 2, because I really, playing that co-op and stuff, and we had some really fun streams in the office with that game. I had such a good time playing Vermintide, and I'm looking forward to getting back into it once the old schedule clears up, because it has been pretty busy in terms of games to play. But yeah, Vermintide 2
there's been other games like Monster Hunter, which was
50 hours I put into Monster Hunter, which is like scrub numbers compared to some people, but I really enjoyed it. It's great.
Monster Hunter, isn't it? It is what it is, and it's probably, the reviews were saying at the time it's like the best example of it, pretty much. So the biggest, most polished example of a Monster Hunter game you could have. And it's gone down really well with Monster Hunter fans, isn't it? Like hardcores and stuff.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus remaster was another.
That was good. Yeah,
that's right. That was a decent one.
Games this year.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Dark Souls Remaster is one that I need to play, and that's I'll take my time with that, I think, and I'll just kind of chill out and experience that. But in terms of what's coming up next soon, I don't know. What are you guys what's the next game?
Oh God, there's nothing for the next month, but
we're getting to that time of year.
The one I'm looking forward to next is Red Redemption 2. Hopefully.
Still a ways off, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a ways off, but I think I will enjoy that out of whatever the rest of the games coming.
Anything imminent for you, Liam?
It's going to sound weird, but Mario Tennis Aces.
Yeah?
That actually looks good.
I'm not a big tennis fan.
End of the month. It's kind of got that like story mode, like golf story sort of thing to it, but tennis.
If that's the case, I'm going to take a look at that.
It's like a proper RPG about tennis. It's weird.
That does sound weird with Mario.
That's the closest. And then stuff like Pokemon, Red Dead, and all that coming later in the year, which I'm going to get onto.
Far Cry 5, I think, it was about as good as I was hoping it would be, to be honest. I was really looking forward to that, and I had that on kind of this could be a good one because of the scale of what was on offer, and I've got to say I wasn't disappointed. You had a big open world single player game. Honestly, my favourite Far Cry game in a long time, and it's you get that good value arcade stuff as well, where you can just customise, and we did streams on that and stuff.
Did you hear about the DLC?
Yeah, I've read about
over the next few months.
Yeah, and so that
coming very soon, in fact.
And that was one of the more enticing season passes I've seen in a long time. Just something that really took you through different scenarios, so Vietnam and Mars and all that, which is totally different to the base game, right? So that's good. That's good DLC as far as I'm concerned. Because it's different enough, and I feel like that's worthy. Thrones of Britannia was a good Total War game. I've been having a lot of fun with that, although that has been kind of, they've already been doing significant patchwork to it and stuff, because there was obviously a bit of a backlash when it came out. It's been decent. I think the first part of last year was so high up for me because of Horizon Zero Dawn and Nier Automata, and you had Breath of the Wild, Resident Evil, you had all these games that I was and that's not including the ones that were kind of disappointing and stuff, but for me were big, like Mass Effect Andromeda and Ghost Recon Wildlands and shit like that. There was a lot of games last year, it felt, but it's been pretty strong. So I hope that answers your question, Gareth. Thank you very much. Blake Walden asks, Fallout 76 is rumoured to be an online game. Do you think it will be like ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, I'm assuming, which I think is actually a really good casual and solo MMO experience, or will it be something new, maybe something between Fallout 4 and DayZ? What features would you like to see from a Fallout MMO? So are we thinking Fallout 76 is going to be an MMO?
No, I don't think it will be. I think it'll just have like co-op in it or something. Because it was that leak from, I can't remember where it was.
Jason Schreier?
It was, something like that. But it was Jason Schreier, where he was saying it is like a Bethesda RPG through and through, single player as well, story quest, but there'll will be multiplayer survival elements to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? I think Jason Schreier came out and said that originally he said it's not going to be, your people are going to be disappointed if they're just expecting
was it like strictly single player games?
But then everyone lost their shit and said, it's going to be an MMO and look what you do in Bethesda. But then Jason Schreier just he clarified a few things and said that it's not going to be as bad as you think it is, essentially. So I'm not expecting an MMO by any means. I don't think it would. I don't know. I just think that Fallout. I don't know if it's more hope or more expectation, but I think what I want from the Fallout, if it's going to be online, is just co-op, just straight up co-op. It's the best way to integrate multiplayer into a game and have that replayability and play with friends without having the MMO thing. And also, you think about VATS, right? VATS is essential to the Fallout. For me, for all the Fallouts I've played recently, how do you do that in a PvP environment in an MMO? I don't think you can.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's going to be an MMO either. I think you look at the name, just on a very basic level, it would be. They would do what they did with Elder Scrolls, call it Fallout Online, or something like Fallout Wastelands or something. Yeah. Calling it Fallout 76 doesn't scream MMO to me. Yeah, it does scream kind of New Vegas level. Spin-offy. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the right phrase. So that's why I think it is going to be co-op elements. I'm fine with it as long as it's pretty separate. As long as I can just play the game single player.
I don't think it'd be an MMO either, as well. Just because surely that would eat into sales of Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
You don't want two MMOs.
Yeah, exactly.
With each other.
Exactly.
And especially if they're your own.
And Jason Schreier has clarified that there will be a strong single player campaign. With traditional missions and stuff like that. So whatever happens, that will still be in there. And we should say as well that if you're watching or listening to this podcast beyond Monday, this information is already out there because Bethesda have already had their E3 conference. It's 2 a.m. local time on Monday morning. So if you're this is all speculation on our part right now. The facts are out there if it's after that time for you.
You were fully expecting them to blow the lid on it, off of it over
for
E3.
Sure. Definitely
because they're having a big E3. We've done a video on that that'll be out on the channel by the time this goes out. So they're just kind of our predictions and stuff. So they're going to be having a big E3 for sure. But that's what we think, Blake. I hope that answers your question. Vincent Jones asks, hey guys, looking back on gaming history, the way we interface with games has stayed relatively the same. There are little road bumps in history like motion controllers and more recently VR. Do you think gaming interfaces will ever ditch controllers and keyboard and mouse, or will the old reliable reign supreme? Do you think that we're in for a change anytime soon? I think it's just going to come with VR. I think you can't really get any better than keyboard and mouse or a controller for sitting in front of a telly. I mean, it's been a long time that we've been using it exactly. The controllers are very similar these days. You even look at Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's basically the same setup, isn't it? 2 sticks. You've got the circle of buttons. You've got 2 triggers on each shoulder. And so it's pretty homogenous at the moment. But I think that's because it works. And until VR or something demands a change,
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And you think about things like the car, right? The car. The reason that you got a steering wheel is because you have to turn the axle and move the wheels. That's how it works mechanically. You can think of a better steering system for a car these days. They can make it whatever you want. You could have buttons left and right you want, or you could have like a just some other way of controlling the car. But they don't, because it's already established and everyone knows and everyone's comfortable with it. So as for input methods, like Mike says, I think they've got it nailed down with the controllers. I think what might push controls or motion controls into the future is not so much VR, although I would like to see that. It's AR. I mean, I've got strong hopes for AR in the future. Once they develop the technology far enough so that it's lightweight enough and you can just stick it on and play a game out in the park with other people. In a real world, but also overlaid with a virtual world. I think that's going to be a huge future for the gamers industry. And what control method you have for that? Maybe it's like lightweight gloves or whatever to control your. Yeah. But I would love to see that.
Can you see us moving on from controllers and keyboard mouse?
Probably, but only when it gets to like the point where you can telepathic control or some shit like that.
Exactly.
Neural interface where you
like Black Mirror level.
It's just control. It sounds.
You sit there and your eyes gloss over, but you're actually in a game or something.
That sounds very scary.
It sounds crazy, but that's basically it, isn't it? And the thing is, the reason we got analog sticks was because things went 3D and you needed more ways than just 4 directional buttons and so until there's a big revolution like that, it's just gonna be iterative evolutions. Like you look at the PlayStation controllers over the years, very iterative. Same goes for Xbox. It's just a refinement with every generation. So I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the way things are, but I would, if imagine they just had, like you mentioned, gloves there, guys. If you had some kind of glove or something that was just, is that better? Is that really a lot better than using a controller when it comes to just sitting in front of a screen? Until it is, you're not going to have to. You're not going to need it.
Glove. We got the power glove for the NES.
Yeah, but if it's like something that's very precise and it's very, it's kind of you can just sit there and you don't have to like hold something in your hands and press buttons.
Yeah, it's not as good because you don't get the feedback, right? Unless it's like you've got pressure sensitive parts in the glove. You don't get the same feedback as you would pressing buttons and
you need to, and the thing with keyboard and mouse and the controller is you're just using your fingers. You're not having to move your arms or whatever. You can just sit there, have it on your lap, a controller, and just all you're moving is your thumbs and your fingers, and press. Nothing is better than pressing a button at the moment. That's why the Kinect didn't take off, because it wasn't as good as pressing a button. So it's as simple as that. I think it's it'll come when it's ready. I think it'll arrive when
there's a necessity for it, I think.
And that will be VR or AR, like guys were saying, or whatever the evolution is in terms of the game. That's when the controller and the keyboard and mouse will go with it. So yeah, thanks for that question, Vincent. McQuardis, can you please clarify?
We need pronunciation guides, don't we?
Yeah, we need pronunciation guides because this is like a regular McQuardles, and I don't know if it's McQuardis or McQuardles. So yeah, that'll be handy. Cheers, mate. What games do you think are enhanced or ruined by playing them on their harder difficulties? enhanced first, I guess? Was more games made better by knocking up the difficulty? I can think of a couple.
Usually games like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, because the combat gets more rewarding. You actually have to use your combos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's just off the top of my head. But like games that are actually ruined by their difficulty sometimes. First-person shooters quite a lot, because they typically just make enemies bullet sponges.
Yeah.
Instead of making them like, more accurate or anything, they just give them a shit ton of health.
Yeah.
And it takes forever to take them down.
COD, for example, you end up just sitting behind cover, popping out, just focusing on one guy, and it just becomes this kind of tedious whack-a-mole kind of.
Yeah. They infinitely spawned in COD as well, didn't they? On Veteran, which was hell, but still did it for some reason.
I think it's something that's kind of stats based in some way. Something like The Witcher is a famous example, isn't it? Where the game is just better on harder difficulties because you have to plan ahead and you have to apply stat buffs and things like that to your swords, and you've got to make sure you prepare properly and read up about the monsters before you go and fight them, because otherwise you just get battered. So you've got to prepare in advance, and they do that by changing the stats not in a just crank up the health kind of way, in a way that they're more vulnerable to certain. They have vulnerabilities to certain effects and things, so you end up having to use like fire or something, but you have to do it, otherwise they just won't go down. So you have to apply the fire. For example, you've got to use fire against them to make sure they go down properly. So it's that kind of thing where it requires forward planning, I think, is when it really enhances it. I think Total War is an obvious one for me as well, where you play on very hard. It's just a better game. It's just a different game. You've got to think about your decisions, and if you make a mistake, it could really cost you. Whereas if you play on normal, you can just do whatever you want. You just steamroll, and it's just a much easier game. So, yeah, they're my two anyway: The Witcher and Total War. Any other suggestions?
Yeah, I think God of War for me was one that I had more fun with at a higher difficulty.
Okay.
And yeah, it's that old action type of gameplay again. And Total War again. It's another one for me. It's just games in general. You stick them on hard, they're more rewarding, I find. Unless like Liam says, they just make them into bullet sponges or whatever.
Yeah, that's when it gets annoying now.
That's when you draw the line and just like, oh, what the fuck.
Do you guys ever put games on easy? Have you ever done that? I can't say I've ever done that. I don't think I've ever gone. Oh, apart from, what was that?
I did when I was younger.
There's a really recent one that was like, was it? Oh, it was Vermintide. You have to start. Your Vermintide 2. You've got to start on recruit, because otherwise you just, and even that is
destroyed.
Pretty challenging. Yeah. Like when you first pick it up.
The game I put on easy was FTL, Faster Than Light, because it's just fucking so difficult on normal, and I just want to get somewhere with my game. And I've spent 70 odd hours on that game and enjoyed every moment of it, even though it's on easy. Okay. And I know it's going to kick my ass otherwise.
Well, I like a good kind of hardcore mode as well, where it's not just raising up difficulty, but it just applies different effects. So what I'm thinking of here is XCOM, which is when you play an Iron Man mode, it auto saves and you can't save. And there are other strategy games that do this, but it works really well in XCOM because XCOM is you're so tempted to save scum. If you lose a soldier, you're so tempted to just hit quick load to get to undo it, but if you can't do that on Iron Man mode. So if you make a mistake and your soldier goes down, all you can do is it's like a war movie, man. You're just kind of going, no, and you went through the academy with that guy, but he's dead now, and you've got to go over to his body and take his stuff, and you're left to deal with the aftermath.
Have a bit of respect for the dead, Mike. Just leave him.
Yeah, but you want to get his body back to the base. You know what I mean? You can't leave him to the aliens. I love that. I love all that stuff, and it just creates like drama and little microcosms of you just feel like you got to step away and go for a cup of tea sometimes, and that's Iron Man mode in XCOM. So I really like that, and I do appreciate the option to play a game differently. New Vegas, an example as well, where you can play hardcore mode. So you've got to get your survival things going. You've got to drink water. You've got to rest. You've got to eat food and stuff, which is just changes the game. And I always appreciate that. I always appreciate like another way of going about the game, which is cool. So thanks for your question, McQuardles or McQuardis. Hopefully you can get back to me soon on a pronunciation there. Matthew John Jenkins asks, my question to you is, have you ever pre-ordered any game and been surprised by something nice that you got with the game? I pre-ordered Medal of Honor Frontline back in the day, and I was surprised that I got a t-shirt with it. So this is I picked this one because we've just done a video about Red Dead Redemption's pre-order extravaganza, where you need an accountant to help you decide the best option going forward. I mean, it's just a mess of pre-order bonuses as far as I'm concerned, and it's very unappealing, and it just makes me want to just get the standard edition and not worry about it. Try to imagine the rest of it doesn't exist, because otherwise you're just going to feel like you're missing out whichever way you go. So this is the idea that you just buy something and you just get some nice cool stuff. You weren't expecting it. You just got a t-shirt with it, or you got something cool with it. Can you guys remember an example of that ever happening?
Other than pre-ordering No Man's Sky and getting a fantastic sense of disappointment, I did get a nice ship with that pre-order. And that was cool.
I remember that. Yeah, you got like a...
That was cool.
Because you start off No Man's
with
Sky.
The shittest Lego-looking ship ever.
It's Playmobil's kiddie's first space explorer, space captain vessel. Yeah, it's so funny.
And for the joy I got out of that game, it was better flying around in the ship that I got with the pre-order.
Yeah. So but that was just a nice bonus. You weren't going, I'm going to pre-order this and make sure I get the ship. You just got it. What about you, Liam?
What did I got? I think it was Metal Gear Solid 5. I got a nice little steel book with it that I didn't know I was getting.
Yeah.
I don't know. All the pre-orders I've ever done are quite shit, to be honest.
I
never get anything cool. I did get a t-shirt with one of the Final Fantasy games, but they didn't say what size it was, and it was a large. And
it's always a large, mate, yeah.
For reference, I wear a small, so that wasn't fitting me.
Yeah.
So,
luckily I am a large, so it always works out for me.
It's been disappointments for me, really. Apart from, here's a nice case I get.
I didn't even pre-order it. I just went to game. This is good. If you're interested in just getting something free, maybe go into a shop, go into Game if you're in the UK and buy it there, because you'll get something. You're right. There's a good chance you'll just, if it's a few weeks after launch. Now I went into Game in Bangor in my town, and I just kind of went in and just said, "Can I have a copy of Doom?" They don't have any copies of Doom on the shelves, and all they had was like the collector's edition. And then I was like, "Well, I just want the game," and they said, "Well, you can have that." They just gave me the special edition.
We're not selling them, have it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was in like a steel book. It had like about 5 or 6 pieces of stuff with it, and in-game content and that. And it had like the kind of the plastic perspex kind of cover on it and all this. And it was just like a fancy looking thing. And it was like just like buying the new game. So I got all that stuff, and that was like quite a nice surprise. And I went through it, and I kind of was like, yeah, and I've still got it. I haven't sold it. Which I usually do, because with pre-orders and stuff, if you get like a digital code or something, I always just sell it straight away. Get it straight on eBay. Like someone will pay £6 for weapon skins. I'm telling you, it's a racket. Get in on it. I also got a T-shirt for Far Cry 5, which I think I've worn in a couple of videos, and I wore it kind of not Far Cry 5, Far Cry 2, sorry. And I that was like quite ironically, because I didn't particularly enjoy it, and I've gone back to it since, and it's very kind of a detailed game, but I remember at the time going, well, this is a bit shit, but I've got a T-shirt, and I just wore a T-shirt anyway. That was Far Cry 2.
As a general rule, I don't tend to pre-order.
Exactly. So you do miss out.
Well, miss out on all this wonderful stuff.
Missing out is one way to put it, or just being safe with my money is the other way, I guess. Being safe.
But you might not get Far Cry 2 T-shirts and stuff.
I got
like
a calendar with Tekken 6. And I used that for a year in high school.
That's good. You got a calendar. That's functional.
Calendar. It was handy.
You look at a lot of the stuff you get in the Red Dead collector's box, and it's just like it's a jigsaw puzzle. It's there's nothing in it really. It just feels the main event feels like the box that you get it in.
I mean, I can't think of anything better to look forward to on an evening, sitting down and
doing a two-sided jigsaw.
Two-sided puzzle, Mike. I mean, once you've done one side, you flip it over and you do the second side. It's fun for everyone.
You've just spent £50 on a video game. And they think you're going to play a two-sided jigsaw puzzle.
While you're waiting for the patch to download.
Yeah, exactly.
Do jigsaw.
While you're waiting for the inevitable 25 gigabyte in first day one patch.
Jigsaw.
Yeah. So there you go. If you guys got any better stories of surprise pre-order bonuses, let us know down in the comments, because ours were shit. Joe Smith asks, hey guys, here's a question for you. What's the worst and or best piece of tat you've ever bought or received related to games? I once got what appeared to be a Dragon Ball, but it was really just a plastic sheet that bubbled out in the middle with stars painted on. So this is related to the last question. That is quite something, Joe Smith. The best thing I've got is a gift I got for my birthday. It came with Fallout 4. I got the Pip-Boy arm thing.
Yeah.
You know, the actual Pip-Boy, and it goes over your arm. You can put your phone in it and get the Pip-Boy app and stuff, which I haven't done. I've just got it on display, but that's probably the best and basically only bit of video game rubbish that I've got, because usually, like with Red Dead Redemption and stuff, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But this was a wearable thing. It was a nice gift, nice birthday gift, I guess, and it came with the game. Crucially, it came with the game.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yes. I think we get a lot of... if you exclude everything that we get as pretty good gaming now, because that's separate, right? That's promotion material from...
It's a different world, isn't it? It's like... promotional material. It's just like unboxing video bait, isn't it? It's like, look at all this awesome stuff, and that's something that we just get with some games with journalists' copies, with press copies. You just get some stuff with it.
Like an art book or something, So they're actually quite nice a lot of the time. But as a gamer outside of that, I think, I don't know if it really counts, but I remember the Red Dead Redemption map where you like physically open it up, and it's like,
are good at that.
Fucking hell, that looks really good.
Games. Yeah.
I used to love that shit. They don't do that shit anymore, do they?
Well, they do, but you got to buy the special edition.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
It's added extra now.
Yeah. Oh, that's reminded me. I've also got a map of The Witcher 3. I was just talking about in the office earlier, actually. I've got a cloth map of the world of The Witcher 3, and it's kind of the kind of map that a sailor would paint. It's not an accurate, like, here 1 inch equals 1 kilometer. It's just like an artist's impression of the world kind of thing, and it's it just gives you, here, this is where this city is and this town and whatever, and there's characters painted on there, and there's like monsters on there and stuff. It's really nice. I've got that framed, and that came with The Witcher 3. So what about you, Liam? You got what's the best?
I got a nice key ring with Kingdom Hearts once.
You got a nice key ring?
Yeah.
Do tell me more.
It's just nice.
Do you use it?
No. It's still in the box, actually. But
yeah. It's just there's just something about it, isn't there? It's just, I don't know if it's maybe an age thing, or maybe I feel like I'm a big fan of a lot of things, and there's not.
Actually, I think I got a Digimon game on the PS1, and I got a Digimon plushie with it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's the closest I can think of.
What I think the best things are like things that are items in the world. So so the Pip-Boy, for example, a Vault Boy bobblehead, I've got one of them as well. Something that is in the game that you can pick up in the game, that is just like a replica item in the real world. I think.
So what? It's coming up, but I'm gonna get that Pokemon motion controller.
Oh yeah,
a little
Pokeball thing.
Pokeball. I'm buying that shit.
It's a Pokemon ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's
you can take Pokemon in it.
Yeah. So I think they're probably the best ones for me usually, and maps. If it's a good map, and I can frame it and put it on the wall. But otherwise, like statues and stuff, they're so expensive.
A lot of my friends had the Halo 3 like collector's edition thing. It came with that big Master Chief helmet. They had something like that.
Yeah. That was quite a widespread one, wasn't it? Like a lot of people picked that up. And there was a lot of hype for Halo.
A lot of people I knew in high school had that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was... And I saw it. It was shit. It broke after like a month.
You think how much of this you think is like one guy in school or whatever gets one, and everyone else is like, oh, that's cool. I want to get one or whatever. It's like it's you're doing it because all your peers are doing it.
But it's funny that when if you go to a second-hand shop, like, or if you go to CEX or something in the UK, there's that pre-order tat is just like statues and stuff. It's all over there. It's
have it in the front display.
Yeah, they've got like the glass cabinets, and there's a load of that crap in there because people buy them and then realise that it's just gathering dust on a shelf. Sell it. Might as well get about 30 quid for it at a second-hand shop. So that is where our question ends, Joe Smith. Sad deaths of statues in second-hand shops. Sorry, it wasn't more fun. Stay-at-home gaming with second to last question before we go to Fact of the Week. Stay-at-home gaming asks, what single-player game would you like to see a multiplayer version of, or vice versa? Now, this is really easy for me. The Old Republic, because that is an MMO that should have been Knights of the Old Republic 3. Why didn't that happen? Why hasn't it happened still? That's what I want, please.
I'd like to see, Final Fantasy 14, but single player,
There's enough single player Final Fantasies though.
Yeah, but it's like Final Fantasy 14's got a really good world and good mechanics, but it's bogged down by a lot of the MMO bullshit,
stuff,
like fetch quests going back and forth. If you stripped all that out, made it, and it's quite reliant on like parties towards the end.
Yeah.
That's the best answer I can come up with.
That's the same story for me though with the Old Republic. It's just I wish it didn't have all that MMO. It's fine if you're into your MMOs and you want the social side of it, but I just want the story and the single player.
I
and
like
the
Final
adventure
Fantasy
stuff.
14 as well, but there is a lot of like MMO filler in there.
I liked Lord of the Rings Online, and I think that's a decent. I think that is what it's called, isn't it? And I think that's free to play. It has been for a while. It's a decent MMO, but it's I just imagine that as a single player Dragon Age type game. I would have flipping loved it. I would have really loved that game if it didn't have all the go here, kill so many mobs, get some plants and bring them back, and all of the exactly like you were saying, all the MMO stuff around it. Basically, what about you guys? Any single player games that you want to see some multiplayer versions of?
I don't think that applies to me. I prefer my single player games. I think that's established by now. But there's one that kind of piqued my interest. I saw it today. There was an update about it. It's Star Trek Online, and I tried that back when it came out.
Yeah,
and it's like it's another MMO. And back in the day, I used to lap it up if it was an MMO. I'd actively seek MMOs because that's the kind of game I was into at the time. But now I'm a little bit older, more responsibilities in my life, less time to be able to play games. I'd like to see a Star Trek game that's a single player game.
Yeah, I think Star Trek is weird with games. I think it just feels like it hasn't really there are so many Star Wars games. There are of course Star Trek games, but there are so many Star Wars games.
There's that Bridge Commander one which is just VR, and it again is a multiplayer game.
Did you ever play Elite Force in Star Trek? It's like a Star Trek FPS. That was good.
Well, there was one that's
on PC.
There's one that came with the movies, wasn't there? There was like an adventure third person.
Yeah, we had that in my house. It's like a point and click.
No, like that came with the J.J. Abrams reboots, where it was like
is it the third person like cover shooter?
It was such a throwaway movie tie-in game.
It got like 4 out of 10 across the board.
And it was just like Spock and Kirk just shooting stuff.
Gears of War.
Basically,
And
so that's a missed opportunity.
There was a Star Trek game that I remember from years and years ago. I used to play it on my dad's PC. He wasn't a game age. It was just there. I think it was installed on Windows for whatever reason. But it was kind of like FTL, where you were USS Enterprise going out into the the Klingons there. Trying to take you out, but it was almost like the FTL pretty much, and it was like
management.
Crisis and I like that, and I'd like that type of that type of game again, please, if you wouldn't mind. Serge.
Yeah, absolutely. As for a single player game that I would like to see a multiplayer version of, I think XCOM does have multiplayer, but it doesn't have co-op, and I think that would be really fun. I think going through an XCOM campaign where you control half a squad and you've got someone else controlling half a squad and you control half a base and you're having to coordinate with someone else during missions and stuff like that would be fun. I think that would be great. So that is something I would actually love to see. It does have player versus player multiplayer, but it's a bit limited. It's just kind of a quite old-fashioned, here are some points, just choose a squad and go. There's no persistence to it or anything like that. So definitely that is something I would like to see. And also No Man's Sky, which is actually happening, so that's good. And then one more question before Fact of the Week is from Tom Cartmel. Tom asks, with the release of Jurassic World Evolution around the corner, do you guys have any favourite park builder / tycoon games? The original Zoo Tycoon was my first digital game I ever played, and it's what sparked my interest in gaming. Yeah, for sure. I really like a good park builder tycoon kind of management game. A lot of the games I played on PC when I was a kid were that type of games, because there was a lot of them. There was a lot of them, like pizza, the Pizza Tycoon or something, where you just run pizza restaurants through this town, and Roller Coaster Tycoon was my big one, and that's probably my answer. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. There was the Jurassic Park Genesis, Operation Genesis.
I remember that. Yeah,
that was great. I enjoyed that. That was I played it on PlayStation, I think. Did you guys play it? Did you play it?
I played it. Yeah, I played it. My mate had it on PC. Used to go around and play it at his house.
And you could actually, there was like some actual controlling the real world bits, if I remember. Like you could track dinosaurs from a helicopter and stuff.
To like capture them and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so you had the management view, but then there were like little mini games within it, if I remember.
Yeah.
So that was great fun. And then I also like Tropico and stuff like that. I just like a good Tycoon management game. What about you guys?
Yeah, Theme Hospital was the first one for me.
It's the classic, isn't it?
I absolutely love that. They're actually kind of remaking that spiritually.
Yeah.
With,
what's it called?
What is it called?
2 Point Hospital.
2 Point
Is it
Hospital.
2 Point
And that's something that
Original devs as well.
Yeah.
Like former Bullfrog guys
There you
working
go.
on it.
That's very exciting.
it's a game that has a lot of character, and the armor. If it is a remake, I don't know if it's officially a remake, but it is a spiritual remake at the very least. That's something I'm really looking forward to, because I did spend a lot of time with Theme Hospital as a child.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed it.
I feel like the genre is still there. It's still alive in PC gaming, but it's probably I think something like 2 Point Hospital could really like reignite it in a way that it needs. I think, because they were fun games, and especially like Theme Hospital and stuff. They had such a good sense of humor in them, and funny things would happen. The animation style was funny and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember was it a few months ago, Constructor HD.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was everyone forgot about Constructor. Not this guy. I played it on PS1, and I really liked it, and it was flipping hard. It was a difficult game, and I think when the remaster kind of came around, people were saying it's actually quite tough, and it's dated a bit and stuff, I guess, in terms of themes and that. But it's still just the kind of game that it doesn't really get made. Whereas back in the kind of 90s, it would have just been almost like a default genre. It would have been like a really popular go-to genre for games development.
Yeah. I remember playing a lot of Theme Park on PS1, and of course the classic Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Yeah,
and Lemonade Tycoon. Did you ever play that?
Not Lemonade Tycoon. No,
it was literally just running a lemonade stand.
That would have I would love that.
Simple, but
you had to like fine tune your lemonade recipe to get people to come back.
I would love that. I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. They gave it away on Origin. Like a couple of years ago maybe, but I just replayed it, and it was just great. It was just such good fun.
The most recent one I just played, before we move on to Fact of the Week, Project High Rise was like an indie type of game that I think I played it last year, and I really enjoyed that, although it was still in development at the time, so I think I got the full experience. But it's a genre that I really enjoy, and Project High Rise is one of the most recent ones.
Project High Rise, I haven't played that, so I should check that out. So if anyone, you included, Tom, if you're interested in park builders and tycoon games, check out Project High Rise, I guess, because that's a recent one.
Recommended.
So, moving on to Fact of the Week. Can we have the jingle, please? This one is also inspired by the imminent release of Jurassic World Evolution. For the 2003 construction and management simulation Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, early in development, a total of 40 dinosaurs were planned for inclusion in the game. This number was later reduced to 25 due to scheduling issues, as well as the developers choosing to focus on fewer dinosaurs that were well known from the Jurassic Park films. Marine reptiles and pterosaurs were among those removed from the game. I think we can all agree that was very exciting.
It was.
Now, Dead Cred Redemption this week is quite a long one, so can we have the jingle for that, please? So here is this week's Dead Cred Redemption. It's quite a story, so sit back, put the kettle on. By the time the story's finished, the kettle will be boiled. Here we go. Enclosed are my heinous crimes. Please find it in yourselves to absolve me. Back in 2nd grade, everyone was playing RuneScape. One of my classmates, let's call him Ben, had just started playing and couldn't get out of the tutorial island. So I cut him a deal and said I'd help him if he gave me his strawberry roll-up. That's Aussie confectionery, the literal pinnacle of recess food. He told me his password and gave me his roll-up, and that afternoon I logged into his account and completed Tutorial Island. A few months pass and I hear his parents had bought him a membership subscription. Never before or since have I felt such jealousy. One afternoon, I decided to log in to his account to try it out, as I still remembered his password. I played on his membership account every afternoon for a couple of weeks before I hear him at school talking about how he is never in the same place when he logs in as when he logged out. I freaked out, and thinking he may begin to suspect me, I decided I needed to cover my tracks or I'd be arrested for hacking. Now, here's the good bit. It just so happened that I knew what my best friend, we'll call him Ned, at the time's password was. That night, I did the unthinkable. I logged into Ben's account on one PC and Ned's account on another. I made Ben trade all of his valuable items into Ned's account and went to bed. I did not sleep that night. The next day, I approached Ben and told him that Ned was the one hacking and told him Ned's password so he could check for proof. Ben did this and the next day confronted Ned in the playground. Ned obviously denied it and that afternoon went home and told his parents that Ben had hacked his account. Ned's parents spoke with Ben's parents about it and both parents banned their kids from RuneScape. No matter how much I washed my hands, my sticky roll-up fingers remain. I hope, Pretty Good Gaming, that you see there may still be good in this shell of a man. That is some story. That is some story, anonymous emailer. So he's
top tier RuneScape blackmail.
he's used his mate's account for the subscription. He's then logged into the account of his best friend and put all of the, not even stole the stuff. He transferred it. He framed his best friend to make it look like he was the one hacking.
I mean, I wouldn't even do that to my worst enemy.
He was afraid he'd go to jail. So he was trying to frame his friend, assumingly thinking that his friend would go to jail when he got found out. So that is some story. That is some story.
That was an exceptional story. Congratulations on the story, but fucking hell. Have you not got a moral compass?
Second graders don't really know or understand.
I hope you enjoyed that sticky roll-up. That's all I'm saying. That strawberry roll-up.
I bet it would have been an awesome sticky roll-up.
Yeah.
I've never tried one myself. Maybe it was well worth it.
Deal with the devil type stuff, innit? At what cost? Yeah, I got the roll-up, but, at what price? So there you go. That's this week's Dead Cred Redemption. Now, that's a new segment we've been doing for a few weeks. If you want to email us your anonymous confessions, we'll read them out here and share them with the world, thereby absolving you of your sins. But if they're as bad as that, maybe
take some more
absolution is going to be difficult to find. If you want to email in your anonymous stories, it's gaming@goliath-media.com. Keep them as long or as short as you want, but I try not to. I don't want to edit them, so I want them to be as pure as possible. So don't write them too long, and don't just give me like one sentence stories, because there've got to be some meat there. But that's the guidelines for getting picked and getting read out. So thank you very much to the person who emailed that story in. That was a belter. I really enjoyed reading that.
That was very good.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to some more questions. This one's from Elliot Gardner. Elliot says, right lads, suspend your disbelief here. If you were to be stranded on an island and you could only take one game, what game would you take and why? It can be on any console, and for some reason there is a perfectly good internet connection on this supposed island, but you can't use it to contact anyone. Only play games with them.
So you're allowed to play online games?
Yeah. So he says console, but I'm assuming he means PC as well. So one game, that's a tough one. Mm-hmm. That you could it's got to be replayable.
Arcade cabinet of Pac-Man. And you can keep your internet connection.
So you got
just leave me in my solitude with my, playing Pac-Man.
How many Pac-Man games are on there? Is it just one?
Just the original classic.
Just the original Pac-Man.
Endlessly.
Oh, the actual arcade cabinet. I thought you were saying like it was the name of a collection.
Just the Pac-Man arcade.
Just the actual cabinet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just leave me in my solitude.
That's a big one. I wouldn't go for that. I would be bored.
I can play
bored
Pac-Man endlessly though.
I don't know. I don't know if that would work for me. I need some.
What works for you, man?
I don't know. I would. At first, I was trying to think of something infinite, No Man's Sky. But then I was thinking, because you could just play it forever and keep finding new stuff.
In theory.
But then, maybe a multiplayer game would be nice, because then you could.
Are you allowed to interact with people though?
Well, if you're in a multiplayer game,
you can't contact anyone.
No.
But I was saying, if you took like an MMO with you, could you actually like talk to your party for raids and stuff?
That's maybe. I'm assuming he means you can't contact them to ask for help, but you can talk about the game. That's what I'm taking from it. So you can just like.
But what if you like playing an online game? You become really good friends with the people you're playing with. And they're like, so where'd you live? You can't tell them you're stranded on an island.
At that point, you just have to sever old ties and create new accounts. If anyone starts asking questions, I don't know. I would go for. Just something big and open, something like The Witcher, or maybe a Rockstar game, or Red Dead, GTA, something where I can just explore every nook and cranny. There's a lot of story that I can get through. Something like that. I think probably. You guys,
pure value for money, or value for the amount of gameplay hours you can get out of it. I would go for Crusader Kings 2 with all DLCs, all the expansions, everything. That will keep me going for years and years.
9,000 hours. On the topic of value for money, maybe Far Cry 5 would be a good one, because in theory you could just build your own games within the Far Cry arcade and make racetracks and whatever you want. So that might be a good one. But you do have those tools in GTA Online as well. You do have the level making stuff. I don't know. So you're sticking with Pac-Man, Liam?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't see that coming.
Purely on the idea that arcade games are like designed to be as replayable as possible, because they want you to keep pumping coins into the machine. Yeah, you
want to keep pouring your cash in.
Yeah, so they make them as addictive and replayable.
So I'm assuming you've got an infinite money well. You've got an infinite coin.
Well, you could just like open the front door of the cabinet and you.
Oh, you got the keys. You got the manager's keys.
If you lose your 10p, you're fucked.
Just tie it on a string, like Bart Simpson.
Bart Simpson style,
I'll figure a way out.
You got to answer for all this. Don't worry, I even question you.
Yeah, thanks for the question there, Elliot. Next up is Stephen Hughes. Yeah, he put Stephen awkward pause Hughes as his name. So I'm assuming that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Hey PGG, great show, dudes. What is a game from your childhood that you absolutely love and consider a straight up classic, only to completely ruin it for yourself by revisiting it and realizing that it has aged horribly? That's a good question. I don't know about like straight up childhood classic. But the games have aged, like GoldenEye and stuff. It's just not good to control. You got to
a lot of N64 games.
Yeah, you got to readjust. Yeah, because of that bloody controller. You got to readjust what you think you know about games to play a lot of them.
Yeah.
You guys got any ones that have aged horribly?
Bugs Bunny Lost in Time on the PS1.
You thought that was a classic, did you?
Yeah, when I was a kid, when I was 4 years old, I thought it was like the best platformer of all time.
Yeah.
Second to Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
But then I played it on an emulator like a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure it had tank controls, which is never what you want in a 3D platformer. Tank controls. So yeah, that's aged horribly, that game.
I could say pretty much every game that I played as a youngster.
Yeah.
All the Spectrum, Commodore Amiga games, Commodore 64.
Yeah, they do.
They age really badly. However, it doesn't stop my wonderful memories from being as they are, and my the experiences that I had with them are still there with me. I mean, if I replayed The Secret of Monkey Islands, which was one of my standout games from a child, that probably wouldn't stand up to gameplay of this day. So I probably wouldn't want to jump back into for that reason. And the Pirates, Sid Meier's Pirates, it's probably still playable.
They still sell that on mobile and stuff, and they still it's probably a bit of a remaster, I guess, but it's it's still kind of there. I think SNES games and stuff, and games from like the maybe early to mid 90s onwards, they do kind of hold up, because you've got you've got so many indie games that do it now, and then they're new. So you play Super Mario World for the SNES now. It's a really good looking game. It's a really nice looking game. But you go any earlier than that, or you go a bit earlier than that, and it's rapidly ages, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
it's mostly PS1 games for me, to be honest. PS1 and N64, that generation when they were just trying to figure out 3D for the first time. A lot of them just really haven't aged well at all.
No, that's true. There was a lot of like low tier PS1 games as well that are just buggy as hell when you think you like the platforming stuff doesn't quite work and things like that. But at the time, you're a kid, so you're not really thinking about it that much. But B, it's just you're more forgiving, and you forget all that stuff. And they weren't day one patches and stuff back then. So that is the state that it stays in when it comes out.
I remember playing Monkey Hero on the PS1.
Monkey Hero.
It was like a Zelda clone, but the controls had like input lag on them, so it was horrible to play.
Tasty.
But back when I was younger, I thought that was how the game played. I didn't realise it was just badly made.
Yeah, and you just accept it for what it is, don't you? Yeah.
So that's a childhood memory tarnished.
But there you go. That's ours. If you guys have ever recently revisited a game that you thought was great, only to realise it maybe wasn't, tell us down in the comments. Thank you, Stephen, for your question. Glasgow Graham next. He asks, hi guys, hope you had a good holiday. Mike, thank you very much. My question is, if you could sit for a day with any part of a game's dev team, I like this question, and see how a piece of a game is made, what would it be? For example, enemy AI, animation, level creation, etc. So if you could just sit in...
What piece of a game?
Yeah, if you were like Danny O'Dwyer and you can just sit in and make a documentary about a specific part of a game, what would you do? I think I would go for writing and dialogue, because there's so much of it in video games. Mm-hmm. I want to know how they figure out and structure it, and how do you put it in there, and how much of it is written before the game's development actually starts.
Yeah, that's good. And on that note, performance capture for me.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
How they take all that input that they get from capturing people's acting and stuff, and translate that onto this into the game, essentially into the engine. How is that bridge between the two connected?
Yeah, when you see making ofs and stuff, there's they've always got that like shot. You'll see you see Andy Serkis just kind of doing the Planet of the Apes thing, and then the camera will focus out or like pan across a little bit to a monitor showing like just a skeleton where all of his how do you transform that map, that skeleton that Andy Serkis' performance has recorded? How do you pad that out, and how do you decide where, okay, there's two circles here, but where do the actual shoulders start? And then you put in, it's a really long process, so that would be cool to see. What about you, Liam?
I'd like to see the design phase, when they come up with all the initial concepts and stuff like that, just to see the ideas that they come up with, and they try and think what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
More specifically, I'd like to see the design phase of someone like, I don't know, Kojima or Swery, just to see what actually goes through their mind when they're coming up with this.
Yoko Taro.
Oh, that'd be fun. He'd be good for writing, just to see what is he's thinking of, just because of how insane his writing is.
And I think that's what my answer is. The writing is. I want to know where it comes in. Like if you're talking about the design and stuff, but I think how much of the script have they written? How much do they go for story first? Do they know loosely what the plot is going to be, and then design the game around it, or do they just are they going, it would be cool if it was a game where you kind of did somersaults and you had a flying robot droid here, and you were shooting all the time and you were fighting robots, but you were actually a robot yourself. That's just premise stuff for Nier Automata. But or did he already have the story mapped out in his head before he was kind of planning what type of game it was going to be, third person action, slashing and stuff?
I'm guessing it's different for different developers. And parts of the, you can start building assets so far as environments and player models and stuff like that before the story is even finalized. In some cases,
don't they? They get artists.
Exactly. But in other cases, it wouldn't work so well if it's if it doesn't work for that. I mean, there are answers for me, if I'm allowed to sneak in another answer, would be just environments. I just love.
For sure,
when they make a really decent environment, and how to do, because I've tried it on the Far Cry 5 map editor, right? I tried my best, and we did a stream, and it looked like shit. Let's be honest, right? But I really enjoyed it. That was only
2 hours live, though.
I fucking really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed just creating something from scratch, but making something as deep and detailed and complex as they do in games these days, it would be really awesome to see.
I am not a big fan of Assassin's Creed and stuff, and I did try. I've just recently been trying to get into Origins, and I just can't do it. I'm not interested in it. However, I have a massive respect for the way they've recreated, or the way they transport you back to ancient Egypt, and the way how detailed that is, and you've got to appreciate the amount of research they put. No matter what they do with collector's editions and all the bollocks on the business side, the developers and the people who, someone at the top at Ubisoft has said, you're going to make an ancient Egypt one for us, and then the developers have gone, fine, great, and then they've just really immerse you in it, and they I really
the
do
artists
appreciate that
themselves, the creators involved.
And I think that they do a brilliant job. And then obviously they're not the only ones. I like the Danny O'Dwyer documentary there's a series about CD Projekt, and the way they talk about the environments in there is just great. The way they just have a tavern, and then they're just kind of chucking things in and taking things out, and then they're going, oh, there's too many barrels of whatever here, and then so they start. It's a really granular level that they think about it, and obviously there's a huge team there to do it, and some of the whole, there's that line in it where they say one person's job here over the last 15 years has been creating trees, and but The Witcher 3's got amazing trees. It's got like trees that bend in the wind and stuff. It's amazing. That's a really good question. Thank you very much, Glasgow Graham. October Comstock now. She asks, between you and your siblings, who was player one when you played games together as a kid? How was it decided? And was it ever a point of contention? And is it still the same between you guys? I'm the eldest and was always player one between me and my little brother when we were kids. And though my competitiveness is not as bad as it was when we were kids, I'd most likely be player one if we sat down to play again tomorrow. This is a good one. This is a good question. I think I was usually player one with my brother because I was 5 years older. But I played a lot of games with my cousin. He was 5 years older than me, so I would be player two in that. So
that's how it goes. I'm the youngest. I was always player two, and I get a punch in the arm if I try to argue otherwise.
Yeah,
that's just
damn right. That's how it goes.
I get a big bruise on my arm. It's like, what? I just want to be player one.
Yeah,
just once. Please.
It's such a weird thing. It just makes no difference. You get control in the main menu. Maybe that's what you get.
If you fuck around, if it was like Street Fighter 2 or whatever, and you'd fuck around with like you can get your attack level, whatever. You can make yourself really strong. It's like, you're not allowed to fuck with any of that.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
What about you, Liam?
I mean, me and my sister never played games together. She was never into games, but I did used to play games with my friend who lived a few doors down, but he was a year older than me, so he was always player one.
It's as simple as that. Yeah.
It was mostly, it's like stuff like Tekken, so I was on the right hand side of the screen, which is really shit if you're playing a fighting game. I don't know anyone who likes being on the right hand side of the screen.
It's
just messes you up.
It's you're playing, that's where the AI is supposed to be, right? You're on the wrong side of the screen. I played a lot of games with my mates as well, and they were, when I was very young, we played games on the Sega. I can't remember which Sega console it was, but it had like some Batman kind of co-op games and stuff, and in one of them you could, even if you're player two, you could mess up the menu selection, so you'd end up like the player one would go up to go continue, but then both people would go up and then go right down to the bottom to like quit or something. So that was like chaos. Don't ever do that, games developers.
Me and my dad
just let one person be in control.
Me and my dad used to play Golden Axe on his Mega Drive.
Classic.
That was great. Golden Axe and Streets of Rage 2.
Good games.
That was good.
Dad was awesome.
Yeah, they're good games. So there you go. That's our answer to that. October. Easty Loves Games asks, does anyone remember the last PC game they bought on physical media? For me, it was The Witcher 1, and even the regular edition seemed more like a special edition with the stuff that came with it. Mine's Fallout, like I said earlier. That was a gift, so I guess that doesn't really count. Before then, I don't really know.
Diablo 3, I think it was for me.
Yes, I got Diablo 3.
The expansion as well. I bought that physical just because it was actually cheaper than getting it digital.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. It was a nice
Diablo.
I think there was a good reason for it as well. I think it was something like the only place you could get it was through Blizzard's thing.
Through Battle.net,
or whatever it was called at the time. It probably was Battle.net. So I think that's why I went physical for that one. And then and then more recently Fallout, but that was a gift. So I don't know. It's just not. You don't do it, do you?
No.
I do believe the most recent physical game I bought was Fallout New Vegas, or I might have rebought Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
All right.
On physical. That was
does that
like
on
it
Steam?
was like 3 or 4
goes. Does that register on Steam? I think.
I don't know actually.
It changed for me when it was Skyrim, and I got Skyrim, and I was like, hang on a minute, all I'm doing is activating it on Steam. And then that kind of changed. That was a big gear shift in my head, and I was like, what's the point? So I started looking at prices online for the digital version and the key only and stuff, and it was cheaper sometimes. So. Well, it was a lot of the time actually, because the Steam sales around the time that Skyrim came out, the sales, and then the subsequent years, Steam sales were like ridiculously good. They were really, really good, like seriously severe discounts. I remember getting all of the Grand Theft Auto games, bar 5, every single one, including every bit of DLC, for like £5.
I think I got that very same deal.
Yeah, you won't get that now. You won't get anywhere near that now. So it used to be well good.
Before we move on, if I can just ask this one, do you remember the very first PC game that you bought physical?
The very first one.
The very first one.
I remember the very first one I bought with my own money. I got it was free for £15 in Comet. Which no longer with us, that retail chain.
Yeah.
Rip.
And I got Diablo 2, Aliens vs Predator 2, and Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza all on CD.
I can see the PC game stand right now that would have sold that to you. They had a lot of...
It was brilliant.
You know, I can't even remember what they were called.
Best birthday ever for like a 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Why an 8-year-old was allowed to buy Aliens vs Predator 2, I don't know, but I did. So, yeah.
My story is exactly the same. Walking into Comet, and after it's uncanny. R.I.P. F. My game was Total War. Medieval Total War. Sorry, I just like the look of the artwork on the front. It looked like my type of game. I bought it. Absolutely loved it. Opened me up to the franchise, and I've loved it ever since. So. That's quite historic for me. In my history as a gamer.
I bloody loved Medieval Total War. My first one was actually Total Annihilation, and that was it was just a weird thing. Like my dad got the snares. We were playing the snares, and we were like going and trading in games and stuff at the gate of the shop in the town, and we just happened to have a bit too much or something like that. Or the guy said, "Hey, try this one. It's a big PC game, and it'll run on anything. It'll run on like whatever, it'll something like that. If you've got this so and so Windows PC, it'll run on that."
Yeah.
And then we just got it on the off chance. And obviously, I'm now talking about how much I love strategy games in podcasts. So all down to that secondhand shop keeper, Total Annihilation, and that was my. If it wasn't really my purchase, it was I was there with my dad, but it was I played shitloads of it and I bloody loved it. Total Annihilation, and I got into Medieval and Shogun, Total War and stuff really early as well, and I absolutely loved them. That's kind of what PC gaming was for me for a long time, was strategy games, and then consoles were other stuff. So there you go. Thanks for the question, Easty. Caleb Husky asks, have you ever read any books based on games or books from which games were based? I've read dozens of Warhammer/Warhammer 40k books, and I enjoy the games more because of it. No, I have not. I can't think of any game that has made me want to read the book. Or can you guys?
I have actually read some of the Warcraft books, and I think it was Resident Evil. They had a few books.
A Resident Evil book?
Yeah, I'm nice. Deep into the Resident Evil lore. And I read them,
I think if I'm going to read a book, it'll be a book that is famously an amazing book. I'm not going to put that many hours into reading something if I don't know it is really worth reading. That's just
Are you tempted by something like The Witcher? Because The Witcher's really highly rated, apparently. I guess The Witcher. But again, though, that is a book that has been so highly loved and praised in Poland that they made a video game out of it. So that's I'm thinking of things like Star Wars and stuff, and I've read a few expanded universe. Extended universe Star Wars books.
I've actually read the Star Wars Republic Commando books. Well, one of them anyway.
Oh yeah, the game.
Yeah, they tie directly into the game.
Yeah,
I've read one of them.
And that's as close as I can get. But I would say that's a movie property more before a game one, isn't it? So that's as close as I can get. And I know some people like reading like the Assassin's Creed novel that accompanies the game, every year pretty much and stuff. But I remember reading once after the end of Black Flag, I wanted to know what happened to Edward Kenway. And he dies. He dies in the book, and in a horrible way. And I was like, oh man, I've just come off the back of this amazing story, and then he just dies in the most miserable way possible in the book, which is So I don't really go into books, but I don't know if you've got any other shouts, guys, for books that spun off from games. I can't think of big ones. It's just it's more of like a product to me. Like
quite a lot of Halo books. I've never read them, but apparently they fill in a lot of the story gaps in between games. Yeah, no, you're totally right. I do like the Halo universe, so that's a bit tempting, I guess. But otherwise, no, I can't say I have, Caleb. So Rob Lowe with the last question of the podcast, I'm assuming not that Rob Lowe, says, hi, new to the channel on this whole Patreon thing, but enjoying catching up on your older content and look forward to the new stuff. Thank you very much. Cheers. Welcome aboard. My question for you, as a gamer of over 30 years,
I've seen a number of franchises / IPs come and go. I know you get a lot of similar questions to this, but are there any games from the 8/16-bit or earlier console era you would like to see a God of War style reboot for? Personally, I'd like to see what Revenge of Shinobi could look like today.
Oh, that'd be good.
So 16-bit or
That's a
earlier.
fucking fantastic call.
That's a good question, but a very difficult one.
16-bit or earlier? Was there any earlier than 8-bit? Wow.
The beautiful thing with 8 and 16-bit is as well, there's basically a game for every single movie that came out. So if you can think of any film that you like from like the 80s.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Commando would be my choice, because Commando, was it Sylvester Stallone, wasn't it? You know, the Commando.
Got the movie?
Yeah.
Don't know. Commando.
Arnie, that was.
Arnie, yeah.
God, yeah. Sorry, get confused by those two. I would say that. I would say
Easily
definitely.
done.
Yeah. I would say Commando, man.
So if you can think of a movie that you liked from back then, there's probably a game for it. Maybe if someone did like an E.T. remake of the game that ruined the games industry, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Did they? I think they did. I was going to say Quackshot for the Mega Drive, but they did remake that, I think.
Let's have a look. Best 16-bit games.
Quackshot is a Donald Duck game that was fucking amazing. I don't know what else.
Final Fantasy VI.
I was going to say a full remake of Chrono Trigger would be pretty
I was going to
awesome.
say Chrono Trigger. That would be good. That would be very good.
Because Chrono Trigger had action-y combat anyway. So
yeah.
You could translate it pretty well.
If it was on... get that on the Switch, innit? Get that on the Switch. I don't know. Super Mario RPG, that's there are games that are like that. They've taken that Super Mario RPG thing, like South Park even, South Park Stick of Truth and stuff, they copy that kind of setup.
Thing. Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, that has been pretty much remade on the 3DS.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VI. Super Metroid, that'd be pretty cool. Mortal Kombat, we already have good Mortal Kombat games.
Some of the Castlevania games, they'd be good.
Oh god, yeah. Castlevania. I want, like a Bloodborne-ish Castlevania. I would be well into that, using that whip. Link to the Past. I don't know. There's plenty to say there. But going any earlier, don't know. I mean, could you get like Asteroids and then get
Mega Man?
maybe
That'd be good. Mega Man X. That's
don't go there. I mean, that's already someone tried.
I mean, I'd like to see what someone could come up with to be able to interpret it in the modern games industry with the IP, which is Chucky Egg.
3D platformer, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
Ukulele.
Yeah. Okay, then I'm not so interested in that.
And with that, we will wrap up the podcast for episode 67. Thank you everyone who listened all the way through. Thank you everyone for supporting us on Patreon. Thank you everyone for asking questions, because if you did not ask these questions, we could not do the podcast. And it's great to have like just random topics thrown at you every week. It's really fun for us to do. So keep asking the questions. And if you feel like you haven't asked in a while, or if you've asked a question and we haven't picked it up in the last few weeks, just try again. Just try again on next week's podcast, and maybe we can get it answered for you. Remember, everyone, if you want us to read out your dead Cred Redemption confessions so that you may be absolved of your sins, like setting up your friend for a potential hacking crimes and getting them banned from playing RuneScape, stuff like that, email gaming@goliath-media.com and share your confessions with us, totally anonymous, and we'll read them out in a following podcast. Thank you everyone for watching and listening all the way through to the end. We will see you next time.